So what's the, because you're an actress and you're also in both your careers as an actress and as a witch. What's the place of story? How do you use it? Do you use it? How do you use it? What's your relationship to it?
I use it a lot in both careers. I like 100% my relationship to what a story is has changed a lot since I've, grown and become an adult and, learned about all kinds of things like, screenwriting and structure, all those things, text analysis. But in general, how I use story in my, we'll talk about the witch thing first. Metaphors are my go-to for everything, because it's just it just comes very naturally. Like I just like see it instantly. So like I don't have to like reach very far for it at all. But also what I feel like it gives me, both when I'm doing tarot readings and when I'm doing healing sessions with people, is there's something about metaphors that gives it a sort of safe distance between me and the client, between them and their, either their traumas or their baggage or their own personal stories, and for myself and my energetic safety, and my energetic boundaries within those metaphors, because it's sort of like a hey, I'm gonna show you something, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm gonna open this box and you were gonna, or hey, I'm gonna watch a movie. I feel like I heard a friend of mine who talked about like a family therapist or something that said, like, when families watch movies together, that's like a way to open up a conversation between, the parents and the children and everything. And I think it's the same thing in this work, because yeah, so for me it offers a kind of safety, and makes it it's interesting because it makes it almost less personal and more personal at the same time.
No, I get it. And it's the way that you describe it reminds me of the idea of point of balance tension in polarity and cranial, where you find a point that balances the tension, and usually it's in the middle of,
Yeah.
So it creates like, it's almost like an intermediary point. Like the metaphor becomes an intermediary between you and the person,
Mm-hmm.
and between the person and their issue.
Yeah.
And I know you also teach people how to read tarot intuitively, and so you're teaching people how to create their own stories from their reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you've like what you've seen doing that, in terms of like how it helps people, what it creates in their life, or what it opens up in their life and and themselves.
Yeah. What I notice, first of all, is I think people tend to overthink or overcomplicate what they think intuition is.
Yes.
Or what they think being psychic means, or reading tarot means, or any kind of divination or healing. It is wonderfully simple, actually. And when that invitation, in just allowing that to exist in its simplicity, is usually enough, to see, just like I'm almost seeing it as sort of like the floodgates open, or like they plug in instantly. And it's usually when, and this is something that I was taught, and that what has stayed with me ever since. And I use the same thing because it was such a key to the gate for me. It was like, okay, so look at, I happen to have, of course, a tarot deck within reach. At all times, there should be a tarot deck within reach.
He's always prepared.
Always prepared. Yeah, exactly. Like the scouts. So if you were to look at this image, and of course this depends on the tarot decks, but I of course buy tarot decks that have imagery that is rich and vivid. So you would look at the image and
I'll describe describe the
yes,
image
yes,
because this is audio.
yeah, of course,
It
of
will be
course.
audio at some point. So this is a person sitting on a wolf in the full moon on a mountain or rock.
Mm-hmm.
It says
Yes.
strength.
And the wolf is howling at the moon. There's a butterfly in here. The figure in the card is holding a flower. There's a snake wrapped around their leg. So many things that we could, take from this card. And then at the bottom it says strength. And so what I say, and what was told to me at the time, was if this were a children's book, how would you read this, or how would you describe it? Like, describe the card as if it were a children's book, and then you could, I don't know, Laura, go into a story here with the girl on the wolf here.
Well, I'm trying to see the girl better. Well, it would be a story about this girl who maybe ran away from home with her pet wolf, and she likes the night, and maybe she can only live at night.
Ooh.
Yeah, she can't. Maybe that's when they travel at night with her pet wolf, and she's kind of reached the end of the world, and now she's I can't go on like
yeah but yeah, exactly, literally exactly that. And you could even, and then of course you would relay all of that you're saying to the question that the client asks, and cards that are around it. We can go into that. Very complicated. But I feel like once the inner child is allowed to play and tell these quote unquote silly, what the grown-ups would call silly stories, the floodgates open. And what I see is that once given permission to just say what it is that you see, play with it, connect to that inner child that knows how to tell these stories, that knows how to just be, people start to trust themselves. It's wild.